You're listening to episode 18 of Literacy in Color. Welcome to the Literacy in Color podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Sullivan, a science of reading advocate with over a decade of experience as a reading interventionist and literacy coach. I'm passionate about making evidence-based instruction both effective and engaging. If you're interested in captivating our learners on reading fluently and understanding language, or as I like to call it, keeping it colorful, then you've found the right place. Each week, we'll explore intriguing lit bits and practical strategies around the science of reading and structured literacy to help you be colorful and teach colorfully. Are you ready to bring literacy to life? Let's color outside the lines and make an impact together. Hey everyone, Happy New Year! I can't think of a better way to kick off the year than by diving into one of my favorite parts of the literacy block, small group reading instruction. Yes, we should be differentiating our whole group lessons with appropriate scaffolds and enrichment pieces to meet everyone's needs. But to me, small groups are where the magic happens. They're your chance to truly tailor instruction to meet the specific needs of your students, helping them grow as readers in powerful ways. But let's be real, small group instruction can also feel overwhelming. How do you plan effectively? What should your lessons look like? How do you ensure that students actually apply what they're learning? In today's episode, I'm sharing 5 tips for small group reading success to help you start the new year strong. So let's jump right in. Tip number 1, prioritize scheduling. You can have the best intentions for meeting with small groups every single day, but if it's not literally on your calendar, it probably won't happen consistently or at all. Create a consistent schedule for at least Monday through Thursday, and then use Fridays as a buffer for catch-ups. Then, if you really want to up the ante, post your schedule in your small group area, and that can hold you accountable while also giving your students something to look forward to. When kids know they have a special appointment with you, it adds a layer of excitement and importance to your small group time. Tip number 2, follow a consistent small group structure. I'm especially speaking to my type B teachers here. Don't worry, having a structure is not boring. It's not as though every single session will monotonously look exactly the same. It actually sets you and your students up to make the most of your time at the small group table. Small group lessons should have a predictable flow, so students know exactly what to expect, even if the content changes. And when your structure is consistent, transitions from one component of a lesson to the next are smoother and you maximize time on task. A strong structure will follow the gradual release of responsibility model. I do, we do, you do. So for example, if you're teaching a phonics skill, you'd of course start with a warm-up and review. Then you'd model a new concept. I do. And then guide students through practicing together. We do. And finally, let them try it independently. You do. Albeit it's more of a fine dance of we do, we do, we do, you do, you do, you do, we do some more, and so forth. But this kind of routine and structure helps students focus on learning the content rather than figuring out what's coming next. It also helps you stay organized and intentional rather than scrambling with what to do next. Tip number 3, balance teacher talk and student work. Here's a question for you. Who's doing most of the talking in your small groups? If it's you, it might be time to reassess. I get it. When we're teaching, it's easy to over-explain, thinking we need to say more to ensure students understand. But here's the thing. Whoever is doing the most talking is also doing most of the work. You've got enough on your plate. We need the students working here. Make space for your students to apply what they're learning. Yes, provide direct instruction and model strategies, but shift the focus to student practice as quickly as possible. Remember that we do, you do, right? For example, instead of spending 10 minutes explaining a concept, spend 2 to 3 minutes teaching, and the rest coaching students as they apply the skill to reading or spelling. Tip number 4, keep your groups short and sweet. Unless you're a reading interventionist and you have the gift of time with 30 to 60-minute sessions, there's no need for long, extensive small group lessons in the classroom. In fact, when we consider an MTSS model, those longer double-dose sessions are typically reserved for Tier 2 and 3 instruction. Tier 1 small group instruction doesn't need to be long to be effective. In fact, shorter, focused sessions, maybe about 10 to 15 minutes, are often more impactful than longer, drawn-out lessons. Why? Because shorter sessions allows you to meet with more groups each day and provide more frequent bursts of high-quality instruction. And from an equity standpoint, this also ensures that all students are getting the support they need, rather than a select few dominating your time. And if you're thinking, how on earth am I going to keep my lessons to 10-ish minutes? Well, Anita Archer tells us to keep a perky pace. And if we consider that previous tip about having a structure in mind, your lesson components will flow a lot more quickly because you have a plan. And remember, if you have a teacher's aide or multiple people pushing into the classroom for support, how lucky are you? But also keep in mind, the lowest performing students need the smallest groups and the most skilled instructor. So your expertise as a teacher is critical here too. And last but not least, tip number 5, build your teacher toolkit. A solid toolkit starts with your own knowledge. Attend the trainings, read the books, listen to the podcasts. Grow your knowledge about what the science of reading has to say about literacy. Louisa Moats says informed teachers are our best insurance against reading failure. Knowing a vast range of content and strategies to teach literacy will help you respond to your students' needs in real time. But your toolkit, of course, can also include physical resources like whiteboards, letter tiles, decodable texts, printable resources. And speaking of resources, I want to quickly plug my Colorful Literacy Toolkit membership. If you're looking for structured literacy, ready-to-use materials for phonics, morphology, including decodables and more for the small group table, this membership is designed to save you time while providing evidence-based resources that you can trust. It's packed with tools to support small group instruction and beyond. So if you're building your toolkit, definitely check it out. So let's recap those 5 tips for small group reading success. 1, prioritize scheduling, plan your groups, and stick to it. 2, follow a predictable structure. Use instructional routines to maximize time and focus. 3, balance your teacher talk and student work. Shift the learning responsibility to your students. 4, keep things short and sweet. 10 to 15 minute sessions allows you to meet with more groups more frequently. And 5, build your teacher toolkit. Equip yourself with the tools and resources you need to support skill application. Small group instruction is a place where you can make a monumental impact on your students' growth as readers. So use this time intentionally and wisely. And remember, progress doesn't happen overnight, but with consistency and structure and meaningful practice, your students will thrive. Thank you so much for tuning into Literacy in Color. I hope today's episode left you feeling both inspired and equipped with something new to add to your teaching toolkit. If you're enjoying this podcast, it would truly mean so much to me if you'd leave a 5-star review. It helps other educators find the show and join our colorful community. And don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. For more tips, tools, and resources, Be sure to check out the links in the show notes at michelleandthecolorfulclassroom.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week. Until then, be colorful and teach colorfully.